Hi, in this video I am going to talk about payment process requests in Oracle Fusion Cloud. The agenda will be PPR definition, payment process request definition, PPR template, submit process of PPR, PPR status and user actions, PPR frequently asked questions. Let's start by PPR definition. Payment process request is a batch process that is submitted for a selection of invoices that groups invoices into payments and those payments into a payment file. You can submit a payment process request on the payment process request page. So when your organization submits a payment, it is done through a payment process request. For each payment process request, you can specify the selection criteria, payment attributes, and processing options. Standard payment process request typically contains multiple documents payable to be paid. These documents are processed in batch mode where they are first built into payments and then the payments are built into payment files for final disbursement, whether in the form of check or by electronic transmission. Payment setup enables pay runs to automatically derive the bank account payment process profile for each invoice during processing based on its payment method. Business unit and the currency. Using also payments, you can manage a large group of documents payables that are associated with multiple business units, multiple legal entities, multiple currencies, also multiple pay groups, bank accounts, and different payment installments. You have the option to submit the payment process request independently every time or use the payment process request templates. The payment process request template, you can create a template on the create payment process request template page and schedule the template to submit the payment process requests later. Best practice is to set up templates for the most common or recurring type of payments. For instance, you might set up a template for each business unit and for each payment method. In other words, you can have a template for the electronic payment method and another for check payment method. What the benefits of using payment process request template are that it minimizes the data entry by saving your form re-entering the frequently used values, which simplifies and expedites pay runs. You can retrieve cash requirements for the invoices that are selected for payments by running the cash requirement report. You can also schedule the payment process to run on a repeating basis with the help of the template requiring no manual intervention. You can also submit specific payment process requests by specifying a template that is used as a parameter and which contains all the information needed for submitting particular payment process request. Another key feature is that you can use the functional setup manager, export or import service to move payment process request templates from one environment to another. Through payment process request template replication across environments, you can eliminate user intervention and repetitive steps and improve overall data integrity. Now let's get into the application to check the payment process request template and then try to understand the submit process of payment process request. So I am logging here in Oracle, navigate to payables and payment, go to the tasks on the right side, you will find submit PPR, manage PPR also, and manage PPR template. If you need to create a template, you can come here to search or just click on action and create. or you can search by any existing of the PPR. There is one already defined before. You can enter name, description, type is optional, inactive date if you are going to inactivate it. Then fill the attributes here for these two tabs at the selection criteria and payment and processing options. So let's talk about these two tabs in submit payment process request. It will be very useful for you to get understand what is these two tabs during submit the PPR request. What the PPR request name, for example, PPR test or dummy PPR. Then the template, you can select any of the existing which you already defined before template or keep it as null because it's optional, not required. Let's start now talking about these two tabs. The first tab is selection criteria. This tab determines which installments are selected for payment. We will fill out various attributes starting with pay through date. Pay through date, which reflects the latest due date for an installment. You can also specify lowest and highest payment priority that is assigned to an installment. Pay from date. Pay from date, which reflects the earliest due date for an installment. Then you can choose the date basis. We have only available two options here as a pay date or due date. Next is include zero amount invoices. This allows you to include invoices that have a zero amount. If you choose yes, then you can choose the pay group. Before the pay group, there is supplier type. Are you going to make a PPR for specific supplier types or not? This is optional. Then the pay group. As you know, this is an invoice categorization for payments. The default setting includes all group, but you can specify one or more pay groups as per your requirement. Just come to specific and select add and added your pay group. The next is currencies. Currencies can be selected for both invoices and payment. The default setting includes all currencies, but you can specify either one or more invoice currencies or also one or more payment currencies. You can decide on business units. You can choose a business unit for both invoices and payments. The default setting includes all business units. If you specify payment business units, the selection process finds installments for the invoice business units that the payment business unit services. If you choose an invoice business unit, the selection process finds installments for that invoice business units. You can also choose legal entities, all or specific legal entities. Also, these legal entities that is associated with an invoice. The default for all of these settings includes all, either legal entities, business unit, paying group, currencies, and the sources. Sources are used to separate one-time payments which we created as a payment sources, such as insurance refunds or student refunds. You can choose a supplier type as I told you before. This is the supplier classification such as tax authority, contractor, subcontractor, trust, utility, and so on. Here we just have some remaining attributes also, that the payment method. This is a method of the payment for an installment. After that, you can choose invoice conversion rate type. This is a type of the rate that converts the invoice currency to the ledger currency. The options are all others or users, as you see here. Then supplier or party, if you want to include the invoices for a specific supplier or party, you can choose a specific name of that party in these fields. And finally, you have the option to select invoice based on invoice group, which is a user-defined name assigned to one or more invoices. Before we move on to the payment processing and processing options, I will quickly fill out selection criteria to proceed. So I will keep it as today, pay from date, start of June this year. Priority is the same, date basis as due date, or you can select pay date. Include their amount, no. Supplier type, no. I will keep all as all. I will not choose specific, either business unit, currency, paying group. Payment method, I can also keep it all. Here I will keep it null, supplier, and invoice group. So I just select pay through group as a today, pay from date from the beginning of the year, date basis due, and all of them as a default. Then navigate to the second tab, payment and processing option. As you see, this tab also have a wide list of attributes to choose from. You can choose payment date, which is the effective date of the payment. You can choose disbursement bank account, which is the internal bank account used for the payment. You can select from drop down list. Let me select one of the payments, the bank. Go to down this bank. Then the payment document, which limits the payment processing to one type of document, either printed or electronic or check or wire. I will select check. Payment process profile is a setup, also entity that drives processing behavior for each payment. So I will select standard from feed check. Payment conversion rate type, as we said before, that it will use to make a convert between payment currency and ledger currency. So you can select corporate or user, or spot or fixed. Then the next option is settlement priority override, which allow you to override the payment process profile settlement priority. You can choose also a bank charge PPR override. This is the party that agrees to assume the liability for bank charges assessed on a transaction which can be overridden by another party. You can provide starting voucher number. If you are using voucher numbers, you can enter the starting number for the payment. Cross-currency rate type is a conversion rate type that is used to convert the invoice currency to the payment currency. Then there are also a few more processing options available. Processing option for a payment process request determines the level of the automation for the request. For example, also you can set options that submit payment request through the completion without stopping, or you can stop the request to review, select installment. The processing options start with apply credit up to 0 amount. This applies credits and creates a 0 amount payment if the sum of the selected installment is negative after the installments are grouped for payment. Also, there are a few options here for review installment. If selected, it is stop the payment process request after selecting the installments. You can then review the installments. You can add or remove installments. You can edit the payment and discount amount. You can specify user conversion rate, and you can calculate withholding and interest amount. So if you really want to review the installment that have been selected, then make sure you have enabled this option for the review installment. You can also select to review proposed payment. If selected, the system stops the payment process request after grouping installments into payments, and before building the payments, it will stop also. Another control here is a create payment file immediately. This allows you to create payment files for the submitted request instead of waiting to combine payments from other requests into a payment file. For this exercise, let's go ahead and activate whatever we need. I will click on review installment and create payment file immediately. Next section is validation failure handling. It's also known as a document. Here you can specify process, instruction for handling document validation failures, as well as specify the processing option for the instructions for handling payment validation failures. Then you also have provide a first approval for the approval. It also, which is a specific user that is selected as a first approval for payment approval by overriding the configured rules for payment approvals. The payment here also you can reject all payment in request, reject only payment with errors for the failures and validation handling options. So I will keep it as default. So what I selected here, I just select pay through date, pay from date, date basis as a due date, include zero no, supplier type no, payment method no, and all of them is all without specific either business unit, currency, paying group. For the payment and the processing option, I just select pay date as a today date, disbursement bank account, payment method, payment process profile, and conversion rate type. For the processing, I just need to review installments and create payment file immediately. So let me take it copy and submit it. Now it's submitted. Here you can follow or check the status of the PPR. Just refresh. It will take some time to appear here with this list. Or you can go to home page and come back to the payment, manage payment process request. Just search, it will ask you the name, search. It is terminated because no available installments. So let me check the payment or the period of the account payable. Go to name invoices, go to tasks, and manage accounting period. For November, still, future, and never opened. For October, is it open? So here the option you can open November or you can put the date in October. So let me again go to payment to create another payment process request. PPR October 23. Pay date I will keep it in October because this is the current open period. Also pay through date from October. You can also specific or choose specific business unit. I will keep it as it is. Disbursement. Select the bank document of payment. I will check wire and PayPal. Cross currency rate type, because I think there is one or two invoices in USD, so I will put here our functional currency and USD and put the conversion rate. Create payment process file immediately. Take it, copy, submit it, and refresh. Again, manage payment process request and put the name, click search. It is pending installment selection. Click on done. Come here. It must appear here to require attention. Come back to manage payment process request to check document validation and validated. Click done. Here is status payment approval initiated. Click done. Click done. This is our patch. Payment validation stage status payment approval initiated. Just click on the action here. You will find that payment created 2 and 9. This 2 total amount is 9 is for this amount. So what we notice from our first status, that no installment available, that the period is not open, either future or closed or never opened. The second thing, that there are some invoices in a foreign, means you must select conversion rate between these two, foreign and the functional currency. And also the very important step that you have, or you must know or aware about the invoices which you are going to pay it, because you have to know the currency, amount, the date, the due date, the period, open or closed, and all of these things. So this is a payment, this is a payee and the supplier, business unit. What is amount for each of employee and for the supplier. If you check that it is in Arabic, that there are the same supplier twice, because what? Because some of invoice in functional currency and the other is in foreign currency. But for the others is only one supplier. For the example, supplier netting on only functional currency. So this is the first step, that this is a payment summary total for each currency. If you have 1 or 2 or 3 currencies, system will give you a summary, which is rejected, which is removed. And here is the total as amount to be paid, invoice currency and payment currency. So just you have also still the option to terminate PPR. Even the payment approval initiated or validated, you can still create or terminate payment process request. Let me cancel. Take the action from here again. Action, you can approve, you can reject, you can withdraw, you can terminate. I will approve. Comment, keep it null. Okay. Payment approved. Change it from waiting approval to payment approved. Even you refresh it here. Go to manage payment process request, PPR October, created and ready for formatting. There are two, as we said, one for functional, one for USD. Just click on action for first of it. You can click still, you can terminate, you can format. Payment document wire, blank stock. I will format, created and ready for formatting. Click refresh. The boss are formatted. Payment completed. Installment selected 15, rejected 4. If you check the rejected, why it's rejected? Document payable failed because its parent payment failed. This also in Arabic, that the disbursement bank account doesn't allow payments for amount 0. This is zeros as a payment, and the disbursement bank account doesn't allow payment of amount 0. In the setup of the disbursement bank account, you have to allow the option of the payment of amount of the 0. Because if you check here, for this supplier, there are two invoices. The net is 0. Because of our disbursement bank account not allow it to payment of amount 0, so this will be rejected or failed. Also for the second supplier, the net of the invoice here minus plus equal 0. Your bank is not allowed for payment of amount 0, so it will be failed also. For that, it gives you that there are 4 payments rejected. Before that, if you enabled allow payment of amount of 0, system will accept it and approved or formatted the payment for these invoices.